So what I learned was, how could I use music to get my brain and my mind and my emotions ready for what I was about to do? So what I understood is playing sports. I played sports most of my life. I continue to love and watch and support sports teams. And one thing that I found very interesting was, if you've ever been to a sporting event, if you've ever been to a conference, if you've ever been to a concert, if you've ever been to a recital, if you've ever been to a place that there's a large gathering, there's always one thing in common. And that commonality is this. That commonality is the music that they play. It's always hype. It's always this uplifting. It's always this energetic. It's always this music that tries to get everybody into the same flow, which is a happiness, blissfulness, joyfulness. That's what it's trying to do. So then I started to think to myself, how could I use music to activate something in my life, activate the portion of my brain that said it's time to get to business? The RAS, the reticular activated system. How could I get that to fire and function? How could I get that to put me in a space where I was going to live in abundance? So what I learned was that there's a word called oligodendrocytes. Now listen, I have tried to say this word over and over. It took me about 2.5 months to say it correctly. Oligodendrocyte. Now, what is this oligodendrocyte? It's also known as myelin or myelin. So think of it this way. Think of a highway that there's no dotted lines, that there's no direction, that there's none of it. There's just this firing of cars back and forth, complete chaos. That's often what happens with our brain when it's firing. These neurons are firing this electric pulse. Boom, 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 and it's shooting. What we need to do is we need to coat around the neuron, or in the freeway, we need to make a division. One way, the other way. Then we also need to make dotted lines in the row. Then we also need to put up barriers. And that's what this oligodendrocyte does. It's the coating around the electrical firing. And what it does is it takes this firing where it's chaos and it gives it a point of direction. A starting and an ending. And it says, I'm going to fire here, fire here. And that's what we're going to do. That's why we learn about the word oligodendrocyte. So how do I encompass or scope the oligodendrocyte to where it's going to be beneficial for us, me and you? So what I learned was, how could I use music to get my brain and my mind and my emotions ready for what I was about to do? So the first thing I did was, what is my hype song? What is that song that gets me in the space of saying, okay, body and mind, we are getting ready to move into a powerful direction? So I started to think and study and said, what is that song for me? What is that song that is going to elevate me? What is that song when I hear it being played, my brain starts to hear this bell, Pavlov's theory, the bell starts to go off. And my brain is trained, it's time to get ready because something big is about to happen. So my hype song for the longest time has been and continues to be 50 Cent. If I can't do it, no one can. That is the hype song for me. Now, I will inject other songs in there. Some of my favorite artists that I love, Tupac Shakur, which I believe is the greatest rapper ever. Now, that's a whole other debate, but this is what we're here for. Tupac Shakur, All Eyes on Me. And when my brain hears this song, my brain knows it starts to go. And when it starts to go, that the dopamine starts to fire. But because I have built this massive coating around that highway, the brain knows where to send it. The brain knows, okay, this is what we're doing. And there's a snap. Before I started recording anything, I listened to 50 Cent. I listened to Tupac Shakur. So you ask, why do we need a hype music? Because you need to get in that state of flow. You need to get into that state of music that brings the joy and happiness. You need to start to activate your RAS, again, your reticular activated system. So in the simplistic way is, we're going to build our hype music. The first thing you want to do is figure out, if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever, create your playlist. The first song you need to find is, what is my hype music? That is the first song that you play.